For Yah righteousness, Jerusalem, and the Holy See. Yah bless everybody and peace to our national and international audience. Yah bless. I pray everybody is in best health as possible. I know you're seeing, and again, this is May the 4th, 2022. I know all of you are seeing all this nonsense that's going on, propaganda constantly being uh, perpetuated on the people, being hit with all of the lies and deception and distortions. Censorship, don't want people to really know what's going on over there in the Ukraine. Now they've started this, what is it, Roe v. Wade, abortion stuff to block out and distract what's going over in the Ukraine, you know what I mean? As we said, I'm pretty sure on the last session, they've blocked many of your analysts like Chris Hedges, Matt Tiabi, Glenn Greenwald, and others, from YouTube and, Lee Camp, taking their channels, podcasts down, trying to block them so they have to go to other sources to get their message out. And to talk about what's really happening insofar as the Ukrainian situation, the economic situation, because now this Illuminati Edomite, and it very well, it's the Illuminati Edomites, period, right? The Jews, the illuminated Edomites, right? They trying to start a nuclear war. So, they're keeping people afraid. But at the same time, possibly right now, they're just, trying to make people, think that it's going to be a nuclear war right now. Okay, keep them scared. Novo order, chaos. New world order by chaos through chaos. Because we're seeing the collapse of the dollar, the American dollar. And with that, many fiat currencies will collapse, take a major hit, unless they, go to backing their currency with gold and or silver. And more likely than not, it's going to be gold, to some extent, maybe not 100%. But again, before I get into all of this, we want to thank everybody for their support spiritually, mentally, and physically. We appreciate it, and appreciate all of you out there who are in pursuit of Yah, who are serving Yah, have turned back to the Most High, the children of Israel, and have turned to the Most High if you're not of the children of Israel. Whatever nationality that you might be, because again, as I told some here the other week, who and whomever out there in the earth that is actually looking for Yah, the Creator, the Father, the Creator of everything and all of us. If you're really looking for Him, then you're going to find Him. I mean, what we see in Yeshaya chapter 45, right? Yah said, not to the seed of your cold, Israel, to seek Him in vain. Well, now, again, any human being that really seeks Yah will find Him, because they will be brought to this movement at some point. They will hear about it, then it's up to them what they're going to do with that. But we always hear from day one, and always we direct everybody to Yah, which means we direct everybody to this book of remembrance, the so-called Old Testament, Genesis through Malachi. It's people bring me things all the time about what other movements and whatnot are saying. And, you know, people call and they've got their reasonings for trying to negate or substantiate their deception that they're caught in. You know, the bitten by the cockatrice, Jeremiah 8:17, right? Lies and deceptions. Been bitten by the Leviathan, right? You know, and again, the Leviathan today, you know, his forefathers, their forefathers, right? The illuminated Edomites. Because I listened to some of these, you know, as I've said in the past, people who have knowledge, okay, but they don't have any wisdom, you know. They have knowledge like Jerusalem, you know. It seems like Chris Hedges and Matt Diabes and so on and so forth. You know, Lee Camp is an Edomite from what I understand. You know, but a lot of these talking heads, right, and these economists like Lynette Zhang and Daniela Camboni and, well, Peter Schiff is an Edomite, right? And I've heard him, you know, Peter Schiff speak on some things in regards to us, and not in so far as us being Israel, but just being people of color, you know, quote unquote black people. And you know, what I heard him say on some things here other year, a couple years ago, he, you know what I mean, that you know, I hear that enmity, you know, per se, you know, in regards to us. And that's that, you know, that's that struggle, that's that adversity that most Edomites, I'm not saying all, have towards Israel. Okay? Whether they know we're Israel or not, many of these Edomites know who we are. They know we are Israel. They know they're not. And as I've said in the past, again, I mean, I have to keep bringing these, you know, scenarios, this understanding, this illumination, because it's so vital in regards to, you know, who these Jews are. You know, they are Edomites, and unless you understand that, okay, these Warburgs and Schiffs and Rothschilds, you know what I mean? Man, I mean, Albrights, who just transitioned Madeleine Albright, Edomite. You understand what I'm saying? Hillary Clinton, Edomite. You know, Bill Clinton, Edomite. You know, descended out of the Rockefellers. They don't tell you that, but that's the reality of it. Like I said, these Edomites come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and disguises. Try to hide their lineage. You know, here a few weeks ago, I looked up Freud, Sigmund Freud, right? I also looked up Einstein. And, you know, in the dictionary, they don't tell you they were Jews. You know, they tell you they were Germans, you know, but they don't tell you they were Jews, Edomites. Just like this Leverov, ambassador for the Russians, right? He just came out here, and I got something in stash, and later on I'm going to read it to you what he said in regards to Hitler being, he said Hitler's mother was Jewish, but very well could have been Hitler was an Edomite, because Adolf Eichmann, I'm certain, was an Edomite. Okay? And you know, a lot of these Ukrainians, a lot of them, like Zelensky, who's the president of the Ukraine, Edomite, Jew. Okay? But again, you've got many Israelites confused in that New Testament garbage, right? And they think they're Jews, right? And they're not. They are Israelites. but they're confused. There's so much confusion. I mean, it's just everywhere. I mean, like y'all said through Yeshaya in chapter 60, right? The earth is in darkness and the people of the earth in gross darkness. And you got people, like I said, like the Salentes and, uh, you know, Lynette Zangs and whatnot, Matt Tiapis and Chris Hedges. They got a lot of knowledge, but they have no wisdom, right? And that's why Solomon, the wisest man ever would be, says in uh, Proverbs, right? Wisdom is the principal thing. See, and you only get that wisdom when you fear Yah, right? That's in Proverbs, right? Chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 1. You know, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of Yah. Beginning of understanding is the knowledge of Yah. See? So, you know, I say these people, a lot of these talking heads have knowledge. Uh, and they've gathered information and they see a lot, you know, what's going on in regards to the America, you know, NATO, the leader of NATO, basically America, United States, been attacking Russia for years, right? Um, and didn't want Russia to become an economic power. And now they want Russia's natural resources. Again, Dracul, right? Stick your teeth in the veins, the neck of a country and suck out its lifeblood, right? Its natural resources. And Russia has a plethora of natural resources and they want it. Just, I mean, similar to a little over 100 years ago, Germany, you know, had a thriving economy and the, you know, illuminated Edomites attacked Germany. It started World War One. That's what it was all about. And again, you know, people forget or people don't understand because you got a lot of Israelites who, you know, who think that all Caucasians, you know, so-called quote unquote white people, which is totally a misnomer because there ain't no white people, right? Pale people, right? Some of them have color, like Gerald Salente. You know, I heard him say just here last night. He's castigating these different shields for, you know, front people for the illuminated Edomites that run this country, right? You know, the Barack Obamas and Colin Powell's and Susan Rice, Condoleezza Rice's, right? And he mentioned how, you know, Barack Obama just a little bit, and Colin Powell just a little bit darker than he is, and you know, because Salente is Italian. Follow what I'm saying? You know, and I'm sure Salente knows that plenty of people of color could very well, you know, knows about the Moorish situation, right? And that again, I look at the initial Moors more likely than not who started, you know, Islam and the Moorish religion, right? Were Edomites, because they had the illumination back then. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know, because I have no doubt that the illuminated Edomite and the Ishmaelite started Islam. You know, the Ishmaelites that were in harmony and, you know, up with the illuminated Amalekite Edomite. And when I say this, I know, you know, people hear this and some people don't even know what I'm talking about. And because of that, they don't think I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? But they don't have any knowledge of the word of Yah. Okay. And if one does not have the knowledge of Yah, our righteousness, the King, which you can only get in this book of remembrance, so-called Old Testament, King James authorized version. And again, when I say that, as I've said time and again through the years, the book has been attacked by the illuminated Edomite. Yah has allowed that to a certain extent. You know, they couldn't do any more than what Yah allowed. But nevertheless, you have to come to Yah for Yah to give one the illumination of his word, to allow you to see, Yah by his spirit, right? Zechariah chapter 4, not by power nor by might, but by my spirit, saith Yah, right? Yeshaya chapter 42, the first verse, behold my servant, mine elect, in whom my soul delights, I put my spirit upon him. Yeshaya chapter 44, right? Yah will pour out his spirit upon the offspring of the descendants of Israel, specifically those descendants of Jerusalem, but also other descendants of Israel as well. Okay, as this ensues, and this has been going on now for a while, right? Again, like the Demona movement, as I call them, Sodom and her daughters, Ezekiel 16, which again, those over in, Demona mispay that's been over in the land now, what, over 52 years? Uh, you know, you understand what I'm saying? He poured his spirit on them, right? They think they are descendants of Jerusalem, but they're not. That's why in 48th chapter, Yeshaya, the first 10 verses, what does Yah say? They call themselves of the holy city, but they out of the waters of YHWH. And again, I have no doubt that so many of them are out of Benjamin as well, right? Because we know, you understand, that Yah gave the tribe of YHWH, Benjamin, to go with it so it would not be alone when the nation was split. Right? 10 tribes were given to Jeroboam, right? 1 tribe stayed with YHWH, which was Benjamin. Okay? So again, it's going to be times when you're going to read about YHWH after the split, but we know Benjamin was hooked with YHWH. Okay? Might not say Benjamin all the time, right? In many different places, but it was descendants out of Benjamin that were with YHWH. Okay? See, and again, you get this from reading, studying, praying, and doing. And a person just asked me the other day, like, what, you know, how do we make, what do we do to make sacrifice now? Again, Hosea 14, we render the calves of our lips, right? Which is in harmony with Solomon's supplication, right? First Governors, so-called kings, chapter 8, chapter 9, Second Chronicles 6 and 7, Solomon's supplication. And again, what did Solomon say? If we sin against thee, O Yah, and you scatter us out of the land into the nations, at some point, if we bethink ourselves and turn back toward this house that I have built for thy name, toward this city where you placed your name forever, the city that is called by thy name. Daniel chapter 9, right? Jeremiah chapter 25, the city called by the name of the Creator, YHWHrusalem, YHWHrusalem, because it was just Salem, and like I said before, they Shechem, Salem, Sechem, they've tried to hide that in the book, right? We've talked about this, right? Again, it didn't become Jerusalem until First Chronicles chapter 22, when David was like 64, 65, 66 years old, when he only had 4 to 6 years to live. That's when Yah revealed where he was going to place his name forever. That's when Yah revealed to David where the temple would be built. In Salem, Jerusalem, right? He who creates the city of peace. Okay? So again, the city has always been there. You follow what I'm saying? But again, Yah had told us, even, when all these things that we brought upon ourselves as the children of Israel from not obeying the law. It's just that simplistic, right? We got to the place where we thought we knew more than Yah, right? he don't know what he doing. We know best. You know, you got plenty of them that way right here to this day. Okay. Um, you know, where they think it's about them, right? And they uplift and exalt themselves, uh, and they are out of the boundaries of the law, the straight and narrow. You know, collecting tithes, going out on the Sabbath day, saying you're supposed to gather, right? Eating chicken, eating turkey, eating cow's milk. You know what I mean? Doing things, eating honey, bee products, right? You know, thinking, you know, that they're doing what's right. You know, it's honey all in the book. But again, you know, Yah is brought to this movement and through this movement to be as unclean. And, you know, uh, chicken, turkey, hybrids, unclean, right? Um, and he's allowed us to see many things up to this point, and he still reveals things to us. Okay, uh, you know, like talking to Jacob and Hadassah here a couple weeks back. Jacob mentioned how, again, you know, just like in the book of Hadassah, Esther, right, and when Purim jumped off, right? Again, the 14th day, they was under the 13th month calendar. So every 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th day back in ancient times was the Sabbath day, right? And so again, they attacked the Edomites on the 13th day, right? And it says they rested on the 14th and the 15th day, right? They arrest, right? Um, you know, it's and we have to remember that, right? When we're reading the book, how they rested on the 14th, 7th, 14th, 21st, 28th day. That was the Sabbath day. They had 13-month calendar back then. Uh, you know, it's things like that that, you know, Yah has revealed, and we have to remember when we're reading this book. Uh, it's another place too. It's escaping me now. Yeah, hopefully Yah bring it back to me before this session ends or during the Q&A, and I'll mention it to you. But we have to remember that. See, and again, when you first read the book and the way Esau's translated the book, he talks about 12 months, 12 months, 12 months. You see what I'm saying? He doesn't want us to know it was a 13-month calendar back then. 28 days, you know, each. Never changes. See, which is in harmony with Genesis chapter 1, right? Yah hallowed the seventh day of rest. Yah does not change. Malachi 3:6. See, all of these things are pillars, keys, major keys, that when you're reading the book, you have to use it to discern what you're reading. And then you can see what Esau has tempered with, right? By applying the law, right? Yah's law to the book itself, right? Like Deuteronomy 17, right? The governor, not the king. That's another thing Esau's in the situation. That's why I said a little earlier, right? The so-called book of the kings, you know, the book of the governors. See, you know, you understand what I'm saying? It's things like that, right? That's got so many people where they can't see clearly. Because they don't understand it. And even when you tell them, they don't, a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people reject. They don't want them. You know what I mean? Like here the other day, you know, Brother Carl, he was like, yeah, man, I've been talking to these people, you know, different groups around the country. He said, and I bring them this about, you know, they think, you know, David's going to be raised up. Right? And he said, and I tell them, you know, David's dead, he ain't coming back. They're like, no, but that ain't what it says. You know, it said David gonna be raised up, you know. And so I'm like, yeah, well, I'm sure they've read Jeremiah chapter 33. And what does y'all say? You know, if you can change the ordinances of night and day, right? Y'all's covenant with night and day, then David won't have a seed, a son, to sit upon his throne. And it lets you know different verses in chapter 33, Yeremia, right? I think it's like verse 17. Let me go there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. And again, if you understand that, how could you even consider? I mean, like here, Yeremia 33 verse 17, right? For thus saith Yah, David shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel. Huh? Verse 18, neither shall the priest, the Levites, want a man before me to offer burnt offerings and to kill the meat offerings and to do sacrifice continually. This is the seed of these men. Succession, not one person. The one person started with the covenant that Yah made with that person, with David, with Zadok, with the Levites. Huh? You understand? When you drop down here, verse 21, right? Matter of fact, verse 20. Thus saith Yah, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, and that there should not be day and night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with David my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers, right? As the host of heaven cannot be numbered, verse 22. Neither the sand of the sea measured, so will I multiply the seed of David, my servant, and the Levites that minister unto me. How can people get, that David's going to be raised up himself? David's dead. He's not coming back. He's got seed here, though. It's one of his sons. I mean, isn't that what I just read? Again, what is it? Let me just pick up verse 24, right? This is moreover, Yah came to Yeremia. Consider thou not what this people have spoken, saying, the two families which Yah hath chosen, he hath even cast them all. Or it's a question, right? The two families which Yah hath chosen, he hath even cast them all. Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them. Now again, we brought to the other day, people like, you understand it's two nations, right? When are they how are they gonna be brought together? Well, again, that's when Jerusalem is brought back to Jerusalem and set in the midst of his sisters, Ezekiel 16, to be a comfort unto them, right? And then, they're going to be like, all right, now you got to make a decision. You're going to come to Yah or not, right? Come to Yah righteous, come to the king, right? Now, and it's going to be a plethora of the descendants of the 10 tribes in the land at that time, because Esau would have been judged. The Edomites over there would have been judged. They would have been run out and into their land and burned up. YHWH chapter 33, right? Because again, before the Jerusalem movement can come back, as we've said time and again through the years, right? For a good while now, for some years, right? YHWH chapter 33, the descendants of Jerusalem that Yah brings back, his movement, his arm, won't see the Edomites, the Jews that are over there in the land of Israel, claiming to be Israel, right? They won't be there. It'll only be just a few women, adult women, and children, but no adult males at all, and most of the adult women will be gone, because they got to get judged before Yah returns to Jerusalem on the head of his movement. YHWH chapter 52. We've said this time and again through the years. I know now for, maybe 15 years, 12 years, at least. What part of that people can't understand? I mean, that's the book. So if you go, if you've gone back, if you're a descendant of Israel and you've gone to the land and the Edomites are there running the land, got dominion over the land, then you went before Yah. Yah was not on the head of you. It's just that simple. And that makes you not a descendant per se, you know what I mean? You're not a descendant of Jerusalem that Yah's working through. I mean, that should be real plain and evident, shouldn't it? Okay, because the Jerusalem movement has to go back being seen in the eyes of everybody on the face of the earth. Isn't that Yeshaya chapter 52? What's so hard to understand about that? Just like this here, right? I'm gonna pick this back up at verse 25 in Yeremiah chapter 33. Thus saith Yah, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth. You hear that? Then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers. That's a succession, one after another, that Yah chooses, not the people, like you see in, Book of the Governors, so-called kings. The people were choosing, because after Solomon, right? The only seed of David that I can see of, I think by the top of my head that Yah chose was Yosha. All the rest the people chose. They didn't go to Yah and say who should be governor. Okay? And over the seed, again, so that I will not take any of David's seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? For I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy on them. I mean, this is plain. You can't get any plainer than that. So where are these people getting this nonsense about David is coming back? And from what, this person told me, he explained it to him. But they like, it says David. And it does say David in some places, but it's the seed. David dead, right? And again, because I said to the brother, I said, did you point him to Ecclesiastes chapter 3? He said, yeah, right? Now check this out. In chapter 3 Ecclesiastes, I'm gonna just read the back end, right? What Solomon says, chapter 3, right? I'm gonna read the last verse in chapter 3, Ecclesiastes, verse 22. Wherefore I perceive that there is nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his portion. Now check this. For who shall bring him to see what shall be after him? Go, right? Because once you transition, as David told Solomon over there in First Governors, right? It was that chapter 2. I go the way of all the earth. I'm leaving. I'm transitioning. I ain't coming back. So where are these people? I mean, like I said in the past, what are these people reading? Because they're not reading the same thing. They can't be that I'm reading here. And I'm sure all of you out there, including these people who come with this nonsense, got the same book. If you got a King James Authorized Version, you got the same book I got. Right? In chapter 7, right? Solomon's talking about again, because this whole book of Ecclesiastes, he's talking about life and death. That's what he's talking about. And the things in life and how everything is vanity, right? Because, I'm sure all of you, if not all of you, most of you out there, when you hear me say this, you read this book of Ecclesiastes. And what was his conclusion? What did he say? What is the conclusion of the matter? Fear Yah, keep his commandments. That's the whole duty of man, right? Because everything else is vanity. Because nobody knows, you make, the best laid plans of mice and men, right? You know what I mean? You make plans, you might have a primary plan, a backup plan, but it doesn't necessarily have to come to pass. And a lot of times it doesn't. The way it's planned. If it does, that's Yah, right? What does Ecclesiastes Solomon say? Everything's by chance. You don't know what's going to come about, this or that. The only thing we know for certain is what Yah has told us, because nothing returns to him void. Isn't that right? That's the only thing we know for certain. That's why in Yeshaya chapter 42, what does Yah say? For a long time I've held my peace. We know from reading the book and you know, studying history, what you must do, right, to substantiate and confirm Yah's word, right, all the way to this day, right, that, you know, things that Yah had said was going to happen have come to pass and still coming to pass to this very day. Because, you know, I can see it, and I know many of you can, if not all of you out there, when you hear this, you know, unless you're totally novice in the book, where you haven't actually read it, Genesis through Malachi, and gone back and studied it and have embraced the law of Yah, right? Which is the formula for Yah to give one illumination of his word. Read, study, pray, and do. That's the formula for Yah to give one the insight, the illumination of his word, to where you can see where his word has been attacked, right, by the illuminated Edomite, because they're the only ones that translated this book coming up through time, as I've said in the past, other than Wycliffe and Tyndale, and they got rid of their translations, right? And again, as I've said in the past, I look at Marchand, the so-called French, I'm pretty sure he was an Edomite, okay? See, so, you know, and again, this King James, again, is the only transliteration that fulfills 51:5, 46:13, Yeshaya. Because this translation is near everybody. None of the other transliterations are. Right? So, you know, when you read this, and you see what Solomon, the wisest man on earth, has said, right? How can you refute it? If you're really reading, studying, praying, and doing, embracing the law. Because like I said to this person who, you know, was telling me all this a few days ago, you know, he told me, he relayed this to me, relayed that, you know, he took him to different places. And, you know, he was like, they said to him, well, how you know that's right? Because he told me, you know, they were in the book of Daniel. You know, he told them that that was the first vision, 11:36 to 12:10 Daniel. That was the first vision Daniel got. That's why he didn't understand it. They were like, oh, well, where you getting this from? Well, you know, he told them, yeah, our righteousness, you know what I mean? And you know, they was like, again, you know, well, yeah, we've seen him. And so he, you know, again, he like, what, you saw Yah? They like, no, you know, we talking about the guy in Chicago. He said, yeah, but that ain't Yah. He ain't Yah. He don't claim to be Yah. He's just a servant of Yah, right? So he don't claim to be the Most High. So they like, well, how you know he right? So he brought him the scenario. Well, again, right? How could Daniel understand these visions? You know, chapter 2. You understand? Chapter 3, chapter 2, chapter 4, right? And 7 and 8 and 9, right? And 10, you know what I mean? And on into 11, and not understand this. This is at the back end. How could that happen? How could that be? Right? Uh, but they still argumentative, you know. So it had to be the first vision. I don't know if he pointed out, because I can't remember him saying to me that he pointed out, you know, how could Daniel go in and tell Nebuchadnezzar, give me my companion some time, we'll show you the dream and the interpretation, if he had never had a vision prior to that, right? I mean, because right now, if one of the monarchies or you know, these elite or anybody was come to me and say, "Ooh, I had this drink, but I can't remember what it is, right? Uh, can you tell me?" I mean, people have done this in the past. They tell me about a drink, but I can only tell them my deducement, but I've never had a vision from Yah. You know what I'm saying? Where Yah comes to me or sends a, you know, messenger to me to declare the name of Yah and then tell me about a vision, to tell me something that was going to happen. That's never happened to me. The only things that I get is from reading this book, and then Yah gives me understanding by it or of it by his spirit. Now, it's times when he's given others, as I've said in the past, illumination, to, things in this book. And they bring it to me. And then, boom, Yah, allows me to see it by his spirit. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like the B situation. I didn't see that for years. I didn't see it. It came through another person who's no longer with this movement, who went off on their own, you know what I mean? And totally, out of pocket, still to this day, refusing to acknowledge and humble themselves, like Saul, like Esau, like Uzzah, you know what I mean? And you've got these type people, right? And I've said this in the past, but you know what I mean? Again, Yah brings us this illumination to exalt him, not ourselves. As I keep saying, we glory in his glory. When he gets the just due him, the praise, the honor that's due him. So, these people come with all kind of nonsense. Like I say, chapter 9, Ecclesiastes. How can you read this and think that you coming back after you transition? Or anyone, for that matter. Because when you transition, that's it for you. And we only live on through seed, eggs, sons, daughters, if Yah so gives us that. And again, this is the whole purpose in bringing, making himself known, right? To those of us who have sought him out of the children of Israel, because he brings his illumination through Israel. And he's already said, in this book, what the name of his movement would be. It would be called by his name, right? Yah our righteousness. And you understand what I'm saying? It would be established, the government in captivity, right? To be, lifted up, to lift up Yah, our righteousness, the King, and to be the intercessor, right? To break its clods, right? To do the tilling of the ground, breaking open the ground, removing the stumbling blocks, setting up the waymarks that have been taken down, to turn the waymarks that have been turned around in the wrong direction, to turn them in the right direction, right? To be the he goat before the flock, the trailblazer, right? That a harvest, seed could be planted, right, in the plowed ground. Those who seek Yah, those who truly want to be about he who creates the King, those who truly want to see be this darkness done away with forever, to bring in the flood of light to the people of the earth, to give them a chance to make a true decision on what and who, what they want to be and who they want to serve. Whether they want to serve the purveyors of darkness, which again, illuminated Edomites who have the dominion, and it's just a few of them. Again, Yah says in the one chapter about you, that's why they're not so-called white people, right? In the sense of, because you got Israelites that think all pale people, you know what I mean, quote unquote white people, are Edomites, right? And that's totally incorrect because, again, the one chapter of Bible, what does y'all say? I've made thee small amongst the heathen, thou art greatly despised. You got many of the Caucasian descendants out of Japheth, as it were, as it seemed, right? And people out of Shem also that know about these Edomites. There's possibly maybe some Hamites that know about them, without a doubt. But it's definitely descendants out of Japheth and Shem that know about these Jews. Now, I'm sure it's some, without question, that know they're Edomites, but it's very few. The mass is basically, the way it seems, knows them as Jews. But unless you understand that these Jews, right, descendants of Esau, Edomites, you're never going to know how to remove, put them in a position where they're going to be removed from being the dominant force in the earth, having the dominion, because they've got the dominion, but their dominion is cracking up and crumbling as I speak. And this has been going on for a while, and this will continue until their dominion is totally destroyed. Right? That's what Daniel chapter 2, chapter 7 is talking about. That's what Numbers chapter 24 is talking about. See? But, like people, like Gerald Salente, it doesn't make any difference how angry you get, how mad you are, how perverse and profane that you are, right? Doesn't matter. That's not going to remove them. That's not going to bring them down. That's not going to, make your situation better. Doesn't make any difference how many weapons you have, right? Because they make the weapons, their weapons factories. They control that. They're the ones that build these weapons over in Russia, over here, over in Europe, other places. They're the ones that come up with these weapons. And their whole thing, because they are a minute number compared to the whole of people in the earth, they do what? Manufacture divisiveness. And that again, Daniel chapter 7, the strength of the fourth dominion of man, right? That's its strength and its weakness. Daniel chapter 7, divisiveness. And that's, again, what they're doing now, right? That's their thing all the time. That's why they come with this black and white nonsense. I mean, all of you, again, you looking at me, I'm not black. This top I got on is considered black, gray, charcoal, right? The t-shirt I got up under is black. You follow what I'm saying? That's black. I'm not that color. I'm brown. Like that wall behind me, right? Brown. See? And these are misperceptions, right, that have been inculcated, inseminated. That's Jeremiah 8:17, right? Bitten by serpents and cockatrices, the Leviathan, right? Yeshaya chapter 27, the great snake, right? In the sea, in the midst of the sea. And in this case, the sea is what? The sea of people throughout the earth. See? And you have all these people out here, carrying these misperceptions. No illumination, lack of knowledge, no wisdom, right? Then you've got people, like I said, like the Salentes and whatnot, you know what I mean? They got knowledge on some things, right? The net Zangs and whatnot, right? They got some knowledge on some things, but they still don't really understand what's going on and why. See, now again, Yeshaya chapter 42, Yah, what did he say? For a long time I've held my peace. And we know this was because the book was sealed in that first vision that Daniel got, and that Gabriel standing on the water, chapter 12, Daniel, right? And just told him, things that were going to happen in the fourth dominion from 1136 on into chapter 12, Daniel. 1136 on. Because again, that vision has been tampered with. The illuminated Edomite took the introduction away. We don't have it. Yah made him leave what he left. But it's when you come in at 1136, you're in the fourth dominion of man. Okay? And when you get to the bottom of chapter 11, right, talking about the king of the south, that's Islam, as we said in the past, would set up the tabernacles, of his worship in the glorious holy mountain, tabernacles of his idol in the glorious holy mountain, right? That's Islam, right? The El Asa, Dome of the Rock, been there for centuries, right? Again, you see what the Edomites, I know many of you, they've been attacking our brothers, the so-called Palestinians, who are really descendants out of the 6.5 tribes of Israel, as we said in the past. And the majority don't know it, right? And if you tell some of them, they still can't see it. But I know it's got to be descendants out of Ephraim, not in regards to the 10 tribes, but the actual tribe of Ephraim, and descendants out of Manasseh, right? Which represents the house of YHWH. Again, Zechariah chapter 10, right? Hosea chapter, was that 8? I'll read to you what I'm talking about. Okay, in Hosea 8, and I'll pick this up at verse, I'm trying to see here now, see, because in part of this, in chapter 8, and from chapter 7, it's talking, when it says Ephraim, it's talking about the 10 tribes, right? So that would include, Manasseh and Ephraim, the tribe itself, right? But in a lot of places here in Hosea, when it says Ephraim, it's talking about the 10 tribes, okay? Okay, and so over here though, and because it's in verse 11 in chapter 8, it says, because Ephraim hath made many altars to sin, altars shall be unto him to sin, right? And what does y'all say in verse 12 in chapter 8? Hosea, I have written to him the great things of my law, but they will count it as a strange thing. They sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of my offerings and eat it, but Yah accepts them not. Now that's back, ancient times. Now will he remember their iniquity and visit their sins? They shall return to Egypt, which they did. That's, long time ago. Now verse 14, for Israel hath forgotten his maker. Talking about the 10 tribes, right? But basically you could say all Israel, but he's basically talking about the 10 tribes here, right? And builds temples, right? And YHWH hath multiplied fenced cities. See that? That's the distinguishing, right? So when he said Israel, talking about the 10 tribes, but I will send a fire upon his cities, and they shall devour the palaces thereof. Now, we know that has taken place, right? And again, the Edomites in the last, month and a half, they've been attacking. I know many of you, if not all of you, saw that, right? At some point, you saw the Edomites attacking the El Asma, shooting, tear gas through the stained glass windows. Okay, you follow what I'm saying? I heard Ali Abu Nima being interviewed by the Lebanese sister. I can't remember her name, on the internet, and Ali Abu Nima talked about that, right? The electric intifada. Ali Abu Nima talked about how he said, if this had been done to a synagogue, he said, oh man, it would send all kind of ripples throughout, the Jewish nation. You understand? The Jewish people, right? He said, but that's how the Jews attacked the El Asmas, with worshipers up in there for Ramadan, right? Again, they're in there, the so-called Palestinians, who again, descendants out of the 6.5 tribes of Israel. You follow me? And again, I know descendants out of the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh, the house of YHWH. I know it's got to be some of them who have remembered that they're Israel. You follow me? I ain't talking about in the land of Israel. They're in some other places. Maybe Assyria. You understand? Maybe Egypt. Maybe Syria. Right? Maybe Iran. Right? Maybe Lebanon. Right? But they somewhere over there. Maybe Pakistan. You understand? They've remembered that they are Israel. Right? Because they've seen this Yah righteousness movement. They've heard over the years, and Yah has brought the remembrance of who they are back to them. And again, this is you know, it says because again in chapter 9, Hosea, when it says Israel again, it's talking about the 10 tribes and specifically these Palestinians. Because again, as it says in 9:13, right? Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murder. But again, it's Ephraim talking about the 10 tribes. Okay, and definitely we've seen this in the land of Israel. I mean, to this day, the Edomites, the murderers, right? The, those Edomites, and again, we know Edomites have come up with all of the weapons of mass destruction through the years. Have they not? You follow me? That's who they worship. Their bow and arrow, right? Again, Daniel chapter 11, right? In their stronghold, they worship the idol of forces. What was that chapter 11, verse 38, 39, Daniel? Right? That's what they worship. They worship their bow and arrow and their modern weapons, nuclear. That's why the Edomite that called in December 2010, what did he say to me? And y'all have heard him, and I've talked about it, right? Don't you know we'll destroy the whole earth before we allow a black man to sit on it? Now that's what he said to me, but in essence, what is he saying? We'll destroy the whole earth before we allow Yah to be established in Jerusalem and the seat of David sitting on that throne. Now this is again why they're doing all this, what they're doing today. See, because they see that their dominion is crumbling, is cracking up, and there's nothing that they can do about it. Because again, they are a small minority amongst the masses of people of the world. So they have to do what? Divide and conquer, try to turn, as they've been doing, coming up through time, right? By any means necessary, distract the people, right? And to divide them. By any means necessary, right? Using economics, using pigmentation, using geographical location, using religion, whatever they can use to divide people. That's what they do. See? But again, now, right? What do we see? They're trying this again. I mean, they're employing this, right? And they're attacking Russia, right? Follow me? They've been attacking Russia. See, that's why they don't want you to hear the Chris Hedges, huh? The Lee Camps, right? The Glenn Greenwalds, the Matt Tiabis. You follow me? They don't want you to hear these people. The Gerald Salentes, even though he's still on, they have blocked him out, right? See, but they don't really want you to hear this. That's why they took RT down, RT America, right? So you can go to RT International. That's why they come out with all the propaganda in the newspapers and on the news every day. Constant lies and deception. And they know a lot of people are aware of this. You know what I'm saying? See? But they keep pummeling you with lies and deception and distractions. Now it's the Roe v. Wade nonsense about abortions. Distraction. See? But they keep sending billions of dollars to the Ukraine when it's People over here starving like Marvin, right? Can't afford a decent place to live. The infrastructure's crumbling here in America. You understand me? Like y'all said in the 42nd chapter of Yeshua, he gonna dry up the pools. You got drought, big time, getting worse every day here in America. I got some things in, in the newspaper I'm gonna read you. We done talked about this through the years. Again, this is Yeshua chapter 42, right? Prophecy coming to pass right before our eyes. But who understands prophecy, right? Now, I mean, and you've had, right, Black Lives Matter protests over the years, right, rampant throughout the country, right? Israelites still getting killed, just like Israelites get killed over there in the land of Israel, the so-called Palestinians. And even those of the Demona movement, as we talked about, who are in the army of the Edomites, like we talked about that sister, right, about 7 years ago. You know, she was more likely raped and murdered by other Edomite army members. They tried to cover up and say she committed suicide. We talked about that before. A lot of Israelites know about that. You follow what I'm saying? See? And that's again shows you how those who went over there 52 years ago had no understanding of really what they was doing. Yeah, they Israel, like we done said in the past time and again, right? Israelites had to fulfill that out of the furnace of affliction, the daughter of Babylon, the United States of America, Yeshua chapter 48, the first 10 verses. Somebody of the sons of Israel had to fulfill that. It ended up being Ben-Ami and them. They fulfilled that. Sodom and her daughters, Ezekiel 16. A lot more has come out about them. That's why y'all calls them Sodom and her daughters. Sodomy, incest, been going on through the years with them. You follow me? Molestation. I mean, this is truth. Okay? You follow me? Fulfillment of Yah's word. Nothing returns to Yah void. So again, the daughter of Babylon, the United States of America, the water drying up. Isn't that what Yah said? I'm going to dry up the pools, Yeshua chapter 42. Right? He said he's going to stir up jealousy like a man of war. We see this throughout the earth, especially now. Right? You follow me? Because you got people coming out of the dollar. Why? Because the dollar is just blown. They blown the dollar out here. They just done printed it crazy, like many of these fiat currencies. Right? And the dollar was the king of fiat currencies. And now it's collapsing. That's why they want to take people into the, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all that nonsense. Right? Electronic fiat that you can just bring out to infinity. Right? Basically like they've been doing this paper. That's why you understand, none of these nations want this dollar. The illuminated Edomites got it propped up, right? Trying to keep it, but what does Russia say? We're not taking no dollars. You want our gas, you want our oil, you want our natural resource, you got to get the ruble. You got to change your fiat into our paper. And again, I just saw here the other day, Russia's in discussions backing the ruble with gold. Now, it might not be backed 100%. It's in discussion. But this ain't just started. This been planned out a long time. See, the Chinese, that's why we done said in the past, Chinese been stacking gold. Russia's got gold stacking. Follow me? See, Iran, Venezuela, all these nations that been sanctioned by America because they are what? Won't submit to America's will, to America's dictates, which again, America is the Leviathan. Yeshua chapter 27, right? The Illuminati Edomite, right? And again, the Illuminati Edomites, right? Small group. So what do they have to do? They have to try to create divisiveness to turn these nations against one another. But now, right, they weaponized the dollar through the years, right? Made it where when they took the gold backing from it in August 71, right? But you could only buy oil back then, huh? If you had using the dollars. But now through the years, through weaponizing the dollar, where they have people getting the dollar, and then if people don't do, nations don't do what America wants it to do, they weaponize the dollar and they shut them down through the SWIFT, where they make it where they put sanctions on. See, now these sanctions, again, sanctions never work. Now these nations is hip, been hip, and so what are they doing now? They backing their own. They started back their own currency, like China. I know they Russia. They in league, huh? India, that boy Modi, you understand? He was in the news the other day because he won't come out against Russia, like, you understand, America, the Illuminati, Edomites want him to do. He ain't coming out against, you understand, Russia. This boy Imran Khan over there in Pakistan, they just silently cooled him because he wouldn't come out against Russia and China. And they got him out of there in Pakistan, put somebody else in there, like they're prone to do, like they did in the Ukraine back in 2014. See, pushing at Russia, because they want Russia's natural resources. They want to bring Russia down. They want actually the Russians to rise up and remove Putin and put who they want in there, like they did, you understand, the Ukrainians did, like they got Zelensky, finally in 2019, they got the Edomite Zelensky in there. And last session, I think I said, from what I understood, Zelensky worth 130, $50 million. Well, that's revised now, because they've been talking about Zelensky. He got $850 million. And they're like, wait, how did he accumulate this money? Where is it? What is he doing with it? But that's how much they say the Zelensky is worth now. $850 million. Because he's a front man, right? For the Illuminati Leviathan, the great snake. See, these Illuminati members. Because they're a small group. So they have to do what? They have to try to devise situations to turn the masses of people in the world, the Russians, the French, the English, the Venezuelans, the Iranians, Persians, you follow what I'm saying? The Iraqis, you understand? Assyrians, right? The Syrians, right? To try to turn them against one another here in America, to turn all these different nationalities here against one another, have them fighting against one another. You understand why they getting more and more impoverished as the dollar is steadily collapsing. See, because now these nations say, hey, I don't want no dollars. Huh? You follow me? See, I mean, America been weaponizing the dollar for years, but now they gonna claim Russia, right, weaponizing the ruble. Okay? In other words, you can't do what we do. Okay? But again, Russia just concerned with its own interests, like all these nations have become now, and they're not afraid of America now. Because you got two other, you understand, bullies on the block, Russia and China. So they line it up with them. Now, don't get me wrong, you got Illuminati over there too, but this is Yah doing what, as he says in his word, right, prophetically, he's going to destroy this daughter of Babylon, which is the United States of America. As he says in the 47th chapter, you come sit in the dust, O virgin daughter, right? Make bare legs, uncover the thigh, and let down thy locks, cross over the rivers, come sit in the dust, O virgin daughter. You shall no longer be called the lady of dominions. They got kingdoms there, but it's dominion, the lady of dominions, because you got a bunch of dominions right here. You understand? That's Daniel 7. You follow me? That's Daniel 2, not kingdoms, dominions of man. We know that now. Been knowing that for the last few years. And you called me out, brought that to me. And so it clicked. It's dominions. Because again, now it's coming back to the first dominion, Micah chapter 4, which is Yah's dominion. And that's what it says in Daniel chapter 2. Right? When they started mingling seed, these Illuminati Edomites, and they doing that across the board, changing human beings' chromosomes at birth or before birth, you know what I mean? Changing their chromosomes, making males females and females males, got them all screwed up. Like I said, watch that secret intersex. If they still got it up. You follow me? You got a lot of people out here that's all messed up. That's what, again, Yeshaya 56. What did y'all say? Even the eunuch that chooses the things that please me, I'll give them a name better than sons and daughters of the children of Israel that reject me. Because Yah is setting up his dominion as I speak. Been doing it. It just hasn't just started. That's why I said about 2.5 years ago, I look at the fishing period coming to an end. It takes time to get oneself divorced of the ways of the heathen. Because before you can do that, you have to be able to discern the way of the heathen. And the only way you can do that is come to Yah, the Father, he who creates, the King, fountain of living water, spirit creator of all things. See? And read and study his word, which is the new covenant. You remember 31:31, is it not? Everybody got to read this time. And you can't ever get this knowledge skipping around in this book. See, you got to read it like the book that it is, Genesis through Malachi. Then you can come back and go wherever you want to go, because I guarantee you, you're going to go throughout the whole book over and over again. Every place is, you understand me, what's not paramount to you. When you read Genesis through Malachi, you go to where it's paramount and you study into that and that and that. But at some point, you're going to go to these other places that, weren't paramount to you. And you're going to go through all of that over and over again and read it over and over again. Okay, I've been reading over 40-something years, 45 years, and I'm still studying. Okay, still learning. Y'all let me see things sometimes, myself, but then he brings things to others. They bring it to me, and then poof, light, y'all clicks the light on. And we, again, things are established in council. See, but you got a lot of people reading and studying this book for the wrong reason. To exalt themselves. Or to promulgate their own selfishness like the illuminated Edomite. Now what it's saying? Now what Yah's telling us in Daniel chapter 8? At the back end of chapter 8, Daniel, when he said, in talking about the third dominion, the Greek dominion, when he said, when the transgressors have come to the full, that's when these handful of Amalekite Edomites came to the full knowledge of this book of remembrance in the latter part of the Greek dominion. Because they didn't understand Daniel was a prophet until sometime after 161 BCE. That's when them 2300 days was completed. You understand? From stopping the daily sacrifice and from putting it back on. We have talked about that. See? You understand? These are the things Yah has revealed through the years and allowed us to take these pieces of this puzzle, put them together where we can see not only the picture clearer, but in depth. Because it takes time. Again, Yeshaya chapter 28, line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Sometimes you think a thing is one way, you get snared, right? And at some point, Yah shows you that you were wrong in your assessment. Then you have to acknowledge. People get all little junk in their heart, right? Whatever it may be, but it's out of harmony with Yah. You follow me? And then they go off to the left or they go off to the right. You follow me? And then at some point, maybe they see themselves and then they like, wait, let me get back on point here. Let me get back on track. And it all depends on how far they go away. That's the distance that they got to come back to get on track. But the sooner one does that, the quicker they can start to grow again and illuminate. That's why Yah says over in Yeshaya chapter 9, talking about the seed of David that he's working with to establish his government, he makes it what? A quick understanding. right? Or is that, matter of fact, that's chapter 11, Yeshaya. Isn't that right? Make him of quick understanding, right? Chapter 11, Yeshaya, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the spirit of Yah shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yah, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yah. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness. And what is the righteousness? The word of Yah. That's the righteousness. What? Isn't that what Moshe said to our forefathers? You know, those of you out there who are the children of Israel? Because you can't be Israel unless you Israel. I mean, you know, if you of another nation, you of another nation, but you can still be a servant of Yah. Again, Israelites are not made, they're born. You got to see all this curse on you and your forefathers. You know, your family. You got to see all that curse. That's what makes you an Israelite. And when I say all that, Deuteronomy 28:15 through 67. Right? See? And then what Moshe said to our forefathers, I lay before you life and death, blessing and cursing in Deuteronomy. So choose life, righteousness, the way of Yah. This law is not a vain thing to you, O Israel. Isn't that what he said to the children of Israel? It's not a vain thing. This is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of these nations. And by keeping of these laws, statutes, orders, judgments, commandments, and precepts, your day shall be prolonged. Okay? See, verse 4 in chapter 11, Yeshaya, but with righteousness, the law, shall he judge the poor and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall slay the wicked. With the wicked and righteousness, the law, right, of Yah shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. Again, that's that helmet of salvation, Yeshaya chapter 59. Faithfulness, right? We put our faith in Yah and Yah alone. This is the book. It's a lot of people read, but they don't understand. And they don't understand because they're not totally committed and submitted to Yah with all their heart and soul. They're not perfect with Yah with all their heart and soul. And again, you know, you perfect with Yah, that means you fear Yah, you put Yah first all the time. You trust and have complete and utter faith in him. It doesn't mean that you know all the laws by heart. I don't know all the laws by heart. But when I'm confronted with something that I possibly don't, you know, I don't understand or what have you, and it comes to the law some kind of way, you know, something to do or not to do, I know where to go to find out about it in this book, right? Right? You understand? Back in the Exodus 24th chapter on, or Leviticus, right? Yeah, the book of Leviticus, the do's and the don'ts, you know, like the menu, Leviticus 11, right? It's also in Deuteronomy 12, 14, and 32. Right? I know where to go. You understand? To look up the law, you know, whatever law is concerning whatever situation at the time. See? And then, you know, if I can't see something or whatever, I ask Yada, you know, then she might see. If she don't, I can make another call here or there, right? You know, and counsel, right? Things are established in counsel. And you counsel with those that you see and perceive that are about Yah, our righteousness. Then you wait on Yah, right? To give you the illumination, the wisdom and understanding, right? Again, definitely the knowledge. And then you have to show forth wisdom by doing what he has revealed to you. Can't do what you don't know, right? This is what Yah has been doing all these years. revealing truth, the light, the right, adverse to the wrong, darkness. Then one has to decide what you're going to do. And if you embrace the light, the right, then you let go of the wrong, the dark, the wicked, the iniquitous, which we are instructed to do. You read me chapter 10, right? Proverbs 3:31. If he not the oppressor, choose none of his ways. You got many people out here, promulgating the ways of the heathen in some shape, form, or fashion. Thinking that they're making things better for their people or for the people. Promulgating democracy, which is illuminated Edomites nonsense, right? Diversity, right? They speak liberalness, right? Yah has told us through the book of Yeshaya, those who are speaking liberalness, speaking villainy, right? And those who are like the curl. CHURL. He's told us everything, but we got to read it. We got to study it. We got to pray to Yah for the wisdom and understanding of it, and we got to do what we read. We got to embrace the law and let go of the ways of the heathen. And that takes time, some longer than others. But we have to divorce ourselves from pride, ego, arrogance, okay, which is embedded in people's heart. I mean, we see that in Yeshaya. Talked about it last session, right? Yeshaya chapter 3. In regards to Israel, what does Yah say about, definitely about the men? Children are our oppressors and women rule over us. I talked about it in the last session. I used that Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith as an example because of what had just had happened. And what is he going to say in that Yeshaya chapter 3? How the women, haughty, the women of Zion, the women of Israel, haughty, arrogant, prideful. And because of that, what did y'all say? He's going to call baldness. They call that alopecia now, right? All their hair going to fall out. Talked about it last session. Maybe some of you since then went to, the internet and saw Jada Pinkett Smith with her podcast some years back when she's telling, Will Smith, her husband, how she had it, she was dealing with their son's friend in their house. She had a stack of hair on her head then, right? Now she bald. The word of Yah, fulfillment. And you see this in people. Many Israelites. Nothing returns to Yah void. Yah is near, right? And he's definitely near, nigh, the broken heart and the contrite spirit. Psalm 34, right? Yeshaya 57, to revive the spirit of the humble and the heart of the contrite. But one has to humble themselves. All these people, I look at the, news or reading, and they talk about they praying or they done prayed. Yeah, but they ain't prayed to Yah. They prayed to their idol. Just like, you understand, the so-called Palestinians. The Edomites went in there the last month and a half, like I say, inside the Elos and beating them and shooting them and running them up out of there. You follow me? Cause what? The Elos is what? Idolatry. Dome of the Rock is what? Idolatry. Islam is what? Idolatry. Again, and any of you Palestinians out there hear this, right? What were your forefathers worshiping before 622 CEAD? Because they wasn't worshiping Islam. It didn't exist. Have you ever thought about that? Contemplated that? What were your forefathers worshiping? Because again, these descendants of Israel out of the 6.5 tribes who became known as Palestinians when the Romans, started calling the land Palestina again in 135 CEAD, right? Huh? You understand? What were your forefathers worshiping then? It wasn't Islam. It didn't exist. Now, as I've said in the past, right? From what I understand, right? You understand? Many of them was worshiping the black stone, which is housed in the Kaaba over there in Mecca now. But they was worshiping the black stone, from what I understand, 700 years prior to the inception of Islam, 622. So that take you back to what? 700 BCE? And when we read in this book of remembrance, didn't y'all talk about, you understand, Israel back then, 700, 600? They was worshiping stocks and stone. Because as I said in the past, you understand that black stone, from what I understand, is supposed to be one of the stones Abraham used to build an altar to Yah. Just like Christians. What was your forefathers worshiping, before 270 CEAD? That's when Catholicism came on the scene. Now, for all of you who caught in that Christianity and really think it has some validity, what were they worshiping? You want to say JC came on the scene in the first century CEAD. All right, he was fully born right before CEAD. In the latter part of the BC is what did they say? 8, 6, or 4 BC. You understand? Right? When he was born. All right. So again, Christianity, if you want to go with the lie that Christianity came on the scene in the first century CEAD, what was your forefathers worshiping before that? That's something new, just like Islam, isn't it? For all of you out there that's caught up into Judaism that came from Hasidism, and Hasidism started to come on the scene in 300 BCE. What was your forefathers worshiping before 300 BCE? Something new, isn't it? Sounds like it to me, right? Because 300 BCE puts you what? In the third dominion of man, the Greek dominion. And as we said time and again through the years, when you look at that Daniel chapter 2, right? The 4 dominions of man. Babylonian dominion, Persian dominion, Greek dominion, and this diversified 4th dominion. But when that stone is cut out of the side of the mountain without hands, meaning again, there is no theological school, seminary, you understand, no educational facility that you can go to, you follow me, that the stone would go to, this seed of David, that's what it's representative of, would go to learn the word of Yah. Again, Yeshua chapter 42, the first verse, behold my servant, mine elect, in whom my soul delights. I put my spirit upon him. Yeshua chapter 44, what did Yah say? You understand? The descendants of the children of Israel would start to seek Yah, right? In some shape, form, or fashion, he would pour his spirit upon them, and they would start to pop up. We would start to pop up, the children of Israel, across this earth like willows by the water courses. And again, willow is not planted. It pops up wherever it's standing water. In this symbolism, the spirit of Yah is like the water. See? And the children of Israel across this earth, wherever they are, right? They get to seeking Yah in some shape, form, or fashion, male or female, right? You understand what I mean? Yah gonna pour his spirit and they would pop up. And what's he going to say in 44 Yeshua? Some gonna just start calling themselves by the name of Yaakov. You understand? I'm Israel. I'm a child of Jacob. I'm a child of Israel. Just start calling themselves like many do by the name of Israel. And then as it goes on to say, some would what? Surname themselves by the name of Yisrael, right? Subscribe with their hand. That means they're going to sign a document. But they're going to go before the heathen of whatever nation they in. And like, I'm changing my name from this heathen name, from this captive name, to my forefathers. You understand? Because I'm a descendant of Yaakov. I'm a descendant of Israel. Israel. And legally change their name. We see that over in, Ezekiel 22nd chapter. We take on our inheritance in the eyes of the heathen. Because when you change your name legally, you got to go into the courtroom, right? And then that judge, male or female, sitting up in there in that black robe, when they call your name, they're going to say, okay, this is your name from now on. Your name is no longer John Jackson or Sarah Washington. You understand? Your name is, Rebecca Bat Yisrael or yada yada yada. You understand? Bat Yisrael. You understand what I'm saying? Yada 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 Bat Yisrael. Well, your name is YHWH ben Yisrael from here on out. Okay, see what I'm saying? And what does it say there in Ezekiel 22? Then you will know that Yah is the Most High when you do that. Because you see Yah's name, in your name. YHWH, UDAH, YHWHudah. He who creates, be praised. Like Jerusalem, he who creates city of peace. City called by my name, saith Yah. Right? Not Jerusalem or Jerusalem. All these things Yah has revealed to us through the years. Right? 42nd chapter, Yeshua. I'm going to dry up the pools. I'm going to dry up the herbs. Now, we're seeing all of this. You remember chapter 50, 51, especially 51. I'm going to fill up the door to Babylon with people like caterpillars. They're going to raise up a shout from within. Right? And now this Roe v. Wade stuff, man. Showed it this morning on the market, they all across the country, right? These women, and it's not even in stone yet. It's just the Esau let it leak out. Skull and Bone Boys just let it leak out. We might change this. You understand what I mean, man? These women, because they want to abort. They want to, you understand? They don't want no children. They want to have intercourse, but they don't want no children. You got a lot of males, same way. Males want to have intercourse, but they don't want no children. Because that's responsibility and obligation. But even though it's that, you got many of us out here, males and females, who have children and they still don't want the responsibility and obligation, so they'll want to be able to abort, destroy their child. Right? Throw it in the fire. Sound familiar? For those of you who knowledge of this book of remembrance? Now what our forefathers was doing, throwing their children in the fire, sacrificing them to their idols. Right? And you still going on today. I don't want no child. I want to have a career. I don't want no child. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't need no child holding me back. But you still want to have intercourse. Don't want the responsibility and obligation, because having a child, that's a lot of responsibility and obligation. If you got anything in you, right? See, and again, that's why Yah has told those of us, definitely descendants out of Jerusalem, as he said, if our forefathers had obeyed him, our children would be like the sand of the sea for multitude. That's over in Yeshua, chapter 48. If we had obeyed Yah, right? But he has made a double curse. He's put a double curse on the descendants of Jerusalem. That's why in 54 Yeshua, what he said, more out of the children of the desolate than the married wife. Because basically he has kept descendants of Jerusalem from having any children. Why? Because those of us, again, you understand, descendants of Jerusalem, we under a double curse. But now, those of us who have sought Yah out and turned to him with all our heart and soul, he's preparing us to bring us back. Right? To plant us in the land, Yeshua chapter 6, that we can bring forth, he can bring forth in actuality, right? These holy children, sons, daughters, conceived, born, and raised in the fear of Yah. The holy children, right? 59th chapter, Yeshua. That's going to always be about Yah, forever. That's again why those of us who, you understand, turn to Yah with all our heart and soul and come back to Yah, he brings us to the land, and those who are already in the land of the Demona movement, Sodom and her daughters, right? Those who have gone before Yah, if they humble themselves with all their heart and come to Yah, even though they got ahead of Yah, right? You still got hope if you humble yourself and acknowledge your iniquity. Leviticus 26, you remember chapter 3. And I still hold on to lies and deception, right? You're going to get a chance to totally humble yourself and come to Yah. See, purge yourself, purge your heart of the iniquity and wickedness that's in it to whatever degree. You understand? That is in there. That's got you off center, disconnected from the Most High. He's going to give you a chance that you might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of Yah. And the descendants out of the 10 tribes, so-called Palestinians, wherever you are, you're Israelite. I know that's hard for you to understand, but that's what you are. And I said in the past time again, it should be plain that Islam ain't going to save you. Christianity ain't going to save you. You've been getting your head beat in, your tail shot off, your children murdered. Like I just said, Hosea 9:13, delivering your children up to the murder of the Edomites. Whether you over there, whether you over here, or wherever nation you in. Because Esau's got the dominion in these nations. And he's playing these nations against one another. The people of those nations, the Russians, the Europeans, the descendants of Japheth, playing them against one another, using whatever he can to divide them so he can keep conquering them, right? Keep controlling, manipulating them, as he's been doing coming up through the centuries, through the millennia. And they're able to be manipulated because they lack knowledge and have no wisdom. Worshiping stocks and stones, idols and images, religions that have been conceived by the illuminated Edomite coming up through time. Right? Tell me I'm lying. Okay? I mean, this is fact. It's a fact. And the only one, the only entity, the only power that can bring these illuminated Edomites down as they're being brought down as I speak is because of Yah, our righteousness. Because he's the one that put them there where they are. And now it's his time. It's Yah's time. Isn't that what it's saying in Daniel chapter 2? In the days of these kings, when they start mingling the seeds, I'm going to start to set up my dominion. Right? I'm going to start to set up my dominion that will destroy these 4 dominions of man. Right? So, this is what's happening. And the illuminated Edomite sees it. That's why he's doing his best to keep people distracted, to keep, you understand, the true understanding of really what's going on with this Russia-Ukrainian situation, you understand, away from the people. That's why he come back out with this Roe v. Wade nonsense. to keep the people in the uproar, to get these women in the uproar, right? You understand? Or they want to keep getting abortions, keep throwing their child in the fire, burning it up. Had a woman on Democracy Now! This morning talking about she didn't have 4 abortions. Okay? I mean, I guess she wants to have some more if if she gets impregnated. That's how in the dark these people are. So, he's attacking people economically, right? He attacks the commodities, the gold and the silver and the commodities. He's definitely attacking the stock market. I heard the other day listening to some things on the internet. You understand? These stocks, I didn't said it before. Peter Schiff was talking about it. I listened to him day before yesterday. And he's like, hey, you understand? The stocks that are moving, it's not the stocks that these people have. You understand? They're attacking the stocks that these people have. I said on the last session, my manicure, she told me, her guy, she said, he's retired. He got his printout for his 401k, his retirement thing. He lost $60,000. Okay? Because the stocks that are moving and make the stock move, and again, the whole stock market thing is steadily, stair-stepping, going down, down, down. They're manipulating gold and silver prices, trying to purge people out. But the good thing about it is people got some paper, they can run and go get them some gold and silver at a lower price. You follow me? That's the good thing about it. But this is what's happening. And people can't see it. So many people can't. But that's the reality of it too. That's still the word of Yah, right? Yeshaya chapter 60. The earth is in darkness, the people of the earth in gross darkness. Because they know not the word of their creator, Yah of hosts. I don't care what they and the reason why, because they're in some idolatries, whatever those idolatries are. But that's why they cannot see the word of Yah. Can't understand it, even if you tell them. Like I said, you got ones that, like I said, person just told me a few days ago, he's like, again, right? And this mother, I told him, man, it's like, David coming back. And he's like, what? No, David's dead. He ain't coming back. And well, that's what the book said. They don't understand. It's the seed of David. It's the seed of Zadok. It's the seed of the priest. It's the seed of the priesthood and the Levites. Because again, you're going to have seeds and eggs, males and females, out of all 13 tribes that's coming back. You understand? It ain't going to be all Israel. Most Israel is not coming back. Simple as that. I said it before, saying it again. That's the book. Okay? But you're going to have seeds and eggs out of all 13 tribes that's going to come back to Yah, going to stay with Yah, going to be totally committed and submitted to Yah, going to be endeared into his bosom, brought under the shadow of his wing. He's going to bring them back, plant them in the land, and they're going to, out of those ones, them strongest seeds and eggs, Yah going to refurbish each one of them 13 tribes into fullness. Out of the strongest ones of those 13 tribes. You got some, because again, brother was saying a few days, he said, they come talking about his 12 tribes. I said, they say because it's the gate. When you see those gates, it's talked about with Ezekiel. It's gonna be a name. It's 12 names on them. Yeah, I see. Yeah, but Yahweh's name is on one of the gates. See, so now you go to again. I said, did you take him to Genesis 48? Did you take him to First Chronicles 5? He said he told about that over in Genesis 48, but they still couldn't see it. Right? Yahweh was given a double portion. Right? Isn't that what Yaakov, Israel said to Yahweh? These two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim are mine. And he said Ephraim before Manasseh, which lets us know Ephraim was all about Yah. You know what I mean? He couldn't get enough of Yah. Manasseh was about Yah, but not like Ephraim, even though Manasseh was the oldest, right? He said Ephraim before Manasseh. And he said, these two sons are mine. All the sons you have after this, these two is yours, but these two are mine. So now, you understand when you see Yahweh, that represents two tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. Does it not? That's the house of Yahweh, right? So he said he took the person. Matter of fact, it was more than one. He said he took them told him, said, go to 48. Shy. They read it. He said, did you count 13? But they still like, well, something he said they said about the whites, well, something, but it's still 13 tribes. It's just that the whites don't get no allotment of land. Yah is their inheritance. Isn't that right? I mean, this is the book. See? But you get people so stiff-necked and stubborn and hard-headed. You know, it's because they didn't see it first or hadn't seen it. They don't want to acknowledge it. I don't, you know. But that, again, it lets you know they put themselves or whatever else and whatever else before Yah. Well, we're only supposed to put Yah first at all times. So, you know, what can I say?